Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is Monday. I'm a little bit late today, but it took a while to put this one together. We're going to talk about a new term, which is called Internet Capital Markets and how they are changing and how we've been talking for a long time about how everything's going to be tokenized, everything's going to go on chain, etc. But the question is, who's making what moves with what platform? What are they doing? What does it mean for the future? Let's break it all down. This will be an interesting story, and there's been a lot of requests for one of these types of videos for quite a while, so here it is. Thank you to Cypher Sniper, Sean D, T&D. The whole gang is here. K8 as well. Let's get into it. I know I've got a deck somewhere. There it is. Add it to the stage. This one's called Who TradFi Crowned? And the big question is, for what? And what does it mean? And by the way, I'm not even going to be talking about AI agents, which is another huge narrative that's coming too. This is just the modernization of traditional finance. Let's get into the story. Thank you all for coming. And not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. Shout out to Vermont Farmer. You're literally the only patron I have. Here, my investment Swiss Army knife. I love that. I used to use that way back in the day. The one tool you need in your back pocket. I'm glad you remember. It means you've been here a long time. Thank you. Forgot about that one. Let's talk about the charts first. This is, obviously, if you haven't guessed by the color scheme, a Solana video. Let's talk about a few things. Now, back in 2021, I was very confused by Cardano, why it had such a huge market cap. And that gave birth to this model, which now has different prices of, and anybody can download this, the Sol Upside model is what it's called. But you can use this to determine exactly what the price of Solana would be if it reached, say, 70% of ETH market cap. The answer is $360. Half of ETH's market cap would be around 250, etc. Currently, Solana's trading at 17% of the ETH market cap, which makes no sense. So again, just like 2021, here we are in 2026, and I'm still confused about crypto. But that's okay, because I know in time, the cream will float to the top. Now, let's look at the chart of where we are. Yeah, we're not at $8, which was a magnificent time way back when in 2022. Instead, we're 10 times higher. So yes, a lot of people complain this all has been lackluster, but if you've been in it for a while, you're still doing a 10x plus, or depending on your staking rewards, etc. But we are here at this level, close to level 1. The trend is up. There's a buy signal, and it just needs to get above 100 again, which would be level 2, etc. It will get there, but it's just the whole crypto market is extremely lackluster. That will change with what I'm about to show you and AI agents, which will be a separate video altogether. Let's talk about money and metrics. And it's like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed since I did this months and months ago. But if we look at the revenue, top chains, Solana's number 1. This is 24-hour revenue the last 24 hours, $2.61 million, ETH 1.15. Again, the chain has thousands of percent more users, 10,000% more transactions, it makes more money, and it trades at 70% of the market cap of ETH. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to fix broken. I'm not even going to try anymore. And in terms of DEX volume, Solana also still tops. In fact, Binance Smart Chain has dethroned Ethereum for DEX volume too. Interesting. And we all know what Vitalik said about the layer 2s. They make no sense. And he wants to get rid of them. Anyway, moving on. Another place where there's complete domination, and this is what I mean by the internet capital markets. My very first job out of school was in capital markets. Now I can't believe, fast forward 36 years, we're now talking internet capital markets, which are driven by blockchains. But as I say, and have said for years, everything will be tokenized. The whole world will be tokenized. And now Solana continues to surpass all layer 1, all layer 2 chains combined in tokenized stock trading for the 48th consecutive week. But the numbers are a little bit nutty. So if you look at the amount of volume, 150 million on Solana, all of the chains combined, 2.49 million. As usual, winner takes most. That's the way of the universe. Get used to it. Now, let's look at some other crazy charts. This is the Sol versus ETH market cap over daily transactions. Again, bonkers numbers, massive discrepancy. It's $114,000 worth of capital per transaction done on ETH every day. Compare that to $589 on Solana. Again, I have never, ever, as a TradFi guy, I've never seen such disparity in all my life. And yes, it's frustrating. Vent over. Let's see what else we got. Oh, this is the 17% of ETH market cap. Again, if you're not convinced, one chain is very overvalued, another is undervalued. If these were traditional assets, I'd heavily short one and heavily long the other because gravity is going to work. But in crypto, because it's rational, it might never work. So you could die of old age before it ever comes around. Anyhow, moving on. Let's get into some news regarding this. First of all, shout out to Toli. Polymarket now has a 55% chance of the Clarity Act passing. This is big, big news because when this passes, crypto will go bonkers. Again, regulations are going to be big. That will be the rubber stamp of approval. But we're seeing TradFi firms make steps in advance of this because they know it's coming. And Toli's very excited by it. It says, I can't believe we will actually get clarity. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Toli's very excited. He's actually very funny on X. You should follow him too. I love some of his political takes. And he understands what's happening in the world. Anyway, hopefully this happens this summer. And that will kick off an alt season of two chains that you won't believe. In fact, speaking of Circle, I mentioned yesterday, I had a question in the Q&A, and I said Circle is going to $138 yesterday in a video. And today it went up $20. Not because of my video, probably, maybe a little bit, but definitely because of the Clarity Act, because Circle loves clarity. And Circle mint all their cheddar on Solana. They did $750 million 3 hours ago. And they're doing about, on average, $2.5 billion a week minting of USDC on Solana. That's good for the chain. That's good for Circle. Again, they feed off each other, which is nice. And shout out to Mert, friend of the channel. He talks about internet markets barbell, Sol and hype, trillions. Very short, very sweet. These are the internet markets talking about, or as I like to refer to as internet capital markets. And the internet is driven by blockchain, not the old internet of the HTTP stuff. This is the new internet, and it's coming. Also, shout out to Molu, too. He put together his Solana Thesis. The inspiration for this video actually came from this because he talked about how Solana will disrupt TradFi. This is all about the ICM, Internet Capital Markets. 24/7, 365 trading, instant. 30-second, 25-second, 40-second finality, 40-millisecond finality, I should say, is instant. Very low settlement costs, 98% market share in all on-chain equity tokenization trading. Tokenization is going to grow exponentially. All players are looking towards this. You're talking Robinhood, you're talking the BlackRocks of the world. They're all looking at tokenizing everything. And every major TradFi protocol will adopt Solana stablecoin payments. You Visa, Stripe, Western Union, MasterCard, all settling with Sol stables. Why? Because it's fast and it's cheap and it's easy to work with as a technology. And that's why Solana will continue to drive most users, and most unicorn companies in crypto will be built on top of Solana. That's it. But let's break down some of the details behind this. Let's talk internet markets or internet capital markets and find out where we are. First of all, Visa, global payments leader. They chose Solana. Why? Well, they have a whole bunch of different reasons, but of course, the main ones being a global payments leader, they needed something that they can settle stable coins on Solana for real-time, low-cost merchant transactions, utilizing its billions of TPS capacity. Again, that's the low-hanging fruit that Visa saw. Visa is clever enough to know that if they don't embrace, they will die. Everybody is embracing these new blockchains to do stuff. And they picked Solana. XRP, it's kind of funny. XRP, they chose Solana because they are bridging traditional finance and crypto with Solana's unmatched speed for cross-border settlements. And it's also opening up the different exchanges too. Again, it also helps spark fresh demand for XRP as well, cross-chain. As I said years ago, everything will also be cross-chain, but the chain that is the best, cheapest, fastest will handle most of the transactions. Very important. Beware of bridges out there, by the way. Meta, world's largest social platform, has chosen, guess what? Solana. And they're using Solana for USDC payouts to their, I guess, their creators or whatever they do. I don't have Meta. I'm not on Facebook, etc. If you see an InvestAnswers on Facebook, it's you know that. X has chosen Solana. X, formerly Twitter, as well. This one is interesting. They now, in fact, Nick Buddy is former Solana guy. He runs all their UI, but again, they chose it for crypto payment networks. And again, they use the Solana Pay platform because it's quick, cheap, and efficient. And X money is being rolled out as we speak. That will be very interesting. And again, the only way X money can work effectively and efficiently is to use the blockchain for things like payments. Then Western Union. This is a monster of a shop. Everywhere you go on the world, you could be in the middle of a jungle somewhere and you'll see a Western Union hanging on a shingle in a store. But these guys are operating in 200 countries, 150 billion in annual volume, and they just chose Solana. Again, they've been around for 160 years. They are the number one in global remittances. Anybody needs to send money somewhere, well, now they're going to be doing it instantly for very, very low cost. Cross-border transfers handling 150 billion in annual volume. Again, using their new stablecoin called USDPT. Sounds like US Department of Public Transport or something. Anyway, weird acronym, but that's Western Union. And there's more. Aave. Aave is a OG DeFi platform way back. And now they are using Solana too. And it is now DeFi's largest lending protocol deployed on Solana for superior capital efficiency, brings more volume than Ethereum DEXs combined, all Ethereum DEXs combined over the last 24 hours. Shout out to Vibu as well. Again, these chains that grew up on Ethereum, even XRP, etc., they're all moving over to what I used to call Black Hole Sol back in the day, if anybody remembers that too. Big, but there's more. Chiliz Sports and Entertainment Group. They also moved to Solana. And what are they doing? Well, I think they do, I'm not sure. It sounds like a restaurant, but it's not. But they do sports and entertainment, maybe gambling, and they have fan tokens and other stuff. And they got 200 million plus fans. And of course, they deploy on Solana as well. Now, Bitget is another crypto exchange. I think it's a top 5, top 6 crypto exchange. They also chose Solana. What they choose it for? Well, they use a thing called IPO Prime, which is the access to, again, tokenized stocks, pre-IPO stocks, etc. Now, remember, if you see things like SpaceX on Bitget or whatever, it's not actually SpaceX stock. It's a proxy for it that replicates price action. So be careful there. But again, Bitget are using Solana to give their customers access to tokenized stocks and pre-IPO stocks as well. Stripe, the global payment leader, is basically everything on the interwebs runs on Stripe. And they chose Solana. Why did they choose Solana? Well, once again, they're using it to power recurring USDC payments on chain, i.e. no middleman. Also, you see the trend here from all these TradFi players. They're trying to cut out expenses. Instead of having a 3% credit card charge, move it to 0 or 0.00004 cents or something like that and do it instantaneously. Again, big play here. Fluent, they're a tech innovator. They build different scalable platforms. They built blended execution on a single unified environment using both the Ethereum virtual machine and Solana virtual machine and WASM to run all apps together. Again, very interesting play here. They have I think Fluent is a ZK rollup on Ethereum, but they weren't able to get where they needed to be, so they integrated with Solana and Rust using the SVM and WASM to have a shared interface. No bridges. everything interacts in one user interface as one transaction. Single execution, again, using the speed and cost of Solana. PayPal, another big TradFi monster, huge, huge company. And guess what? The PYUSD is launched on Solana. That is their stable coin. Once again, they chose it because they want to enable instant global digital payments without friction, period. That's PayPal. Cash App. Cash App is the form from the company called, used to be called Square, now it's called XYZ. They are bringing Solana to their 50 million users for investing and transfers. You can buy things like Bitcoin and stuff on the Cash App. And they have their own version of a stablecoin too on Solana. Again, lots of users, lots of activity. Watch this space carefully. Coinbase. This is interesting. We know that Coinbase sometimes has outages and such. Sometimes it can be slow, chunked up. But they are the top crypto platform in the United States. And of course, Binance is number one in the world. And they do have 100 million verified users. But they are now using Solana too for a couple of things. One, they use it as a developer platform to power institutional wallets on Solana as well. And they are doing other activities as well, building a trading routing layer within Coinbase using on-chain stack for actual crypto trading. Again, since they've done this, failed trades have dropped 8x, things happening much faster, etc. Now, you may ask, why are they not using Base? I don't know. We'll see. Either way, they are tapping into Solana as well. BlackRock. A lot of people say, oh, BlackRock, bad, BlackRock, whatever. But they're massive, biggest money runner on the planet. And they have a thing called a BUIDL fund, which is their money market fund, which is also tokenized. And they are expanding on Solana. They started with ETH, but now they're building on Solana as well. And the AUM is now up to 1.7 billion on Solana for their tokenized money market fund as well. So when BlackRock is in there using your platform, that's a good sign. JPMorgan, another company that believes crypto is a scam, and they are building a permissioned public enterprise blockchain using Solana. And they have their own token too, the USCP, which is, I think, their token to facilitate landmark debt offerings, etc. They're approaching for a different angle. Again, think credit markets with tokenization of blockchain. All the big names are here. Ondo Finance, another player too. They are jumping into the fray, and they have $500 million in institutional real-world asset type plays. They're also a leader, 200 plus tokenized stocks. And again, other ETFs as well, all running on Solana too. Super interesting. And conclusion, if you haven't gotten the message already, this is the big piece. Everybody's picking this one platform. The question is why? Well, Matt Hougan says this is the best setup he's seen in crypto in 8 years. The institutional adoption is undeniable. Undeniable. Matt says, CEO, Chief Investment Officer of Bitwise Asset Management, he says Sol has the best setup in 8 years. Repeating that twice. You know that DeFi will be 20 to 100x larger, and there'll be 1 billion people using it in very short order. Winner takes most. Who will the winner be? I think you know. And you've seen the big steps by the big firms already down this direction. Black hole Sol is back. The price sucks, but this is the time to stack. Remember, it's 10x higher than it was at the bottom of the last bear in 2022. So it's not cataclysmic at 83, 84. But those dips are for buying if you see any. Thank you, B-Man, Swiping and Swiping, AR Ron, Halia Kayla, and of course, Sean D, T&D, Cypher Sniper, and K. Thank you all for coming. That was the Solana Daily, which I haven't done in ages, but now it's time to really talk about it. Next Solana video about X402 and AI agents and the impact of that on the chain. Remember, the more the chain is used, the more of the fees that are burnt, which actually burns supply, which should theoretically drive the price up. We just have to wait. Either way, all the building blocks are in place for this thing to take off. we have to be patient. That's all I ask. Thank you all. Have a good night.